Welcome to Creative Spaces Podcast with Guy Zwick, Chief Creative Officer of Highway 85 Creative. In each episode, we will discuss creative ways to define your space and build your brand.
Welcome back to another edition of the Highway 85 Creative Spaces Podcast. Once again, I'm joined by Guy Zwick, Chief Creative Officer of Highway 85 Creative. And right now,
just wanted to see Angelina jump.
And she did jump, everybody. And I think I jumped too.
Pro boxing equipment buzzer. It's great.
It's been a while since we talked about recent projects. So just give me, while we're talking here, give me an update, and your people who are listening, give us an update on what's new in your world. Give me some projects that you guys have completed. Give me some news.
I do. Let's talk about Healing Solutions, Amazon's #1 seller of essential oils with a real high quality product like doTERRA, but yet without the multi-level selling type thing. They are an up-and-coming company in that genre, incredible online, and they're moving into the retail space. So we helped them in a short turn enter Expo East, Natural Products Expo East, get their feet wet, and then make another big push at Natural Products Expo West, and basically launch the retail side of their business, getting it into the Whole Foods and the Sprouts. And
what do you mean by helping them make a presence? Did you build the booth?
So here it is. Yeah, so we built the booth for them. I think the interesting thing in this story is I have a number of clients at the show, but two in particular, 10 by 20 linears at Expo East. One's an older client, one's a brand new client, and I'm not going to name the other one, but it is two dichotomies of how to do a trade show. One would be almost, to be blunt, everything at this point at their level of a company you don't want to be doing, especially for a good brand. And then you have Healing Solutions, who's coming in saying, I want to do it well and above the rest, and doing everything right, if you will, on their first entry. Almost everything, It was still a learning process for them and us with them. But so you say, what does that mean?
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is everything right. What does that entail?
One showing up at a show by accident, thinking they didn't sign up for the show they did, dragging out a display that's got the same messaging and it's 7-8 years old. The messaging's probably 3 years old. They didn't take care of the display that well, so it's kind of, and I want to take some responsibility for not helping with them more on that. At that show, because I was there for the setup.
Sure.
I saw that display and said, man, we should definitely not even let them use the display they were using. But, card tables all over the front, too many tables, too many staff members. Nobody was that jazzed. They didn't have the booth together right. I had happened to walk by to help them out with something, and it was like, well, why is this? And where's your transition panels? And where's the end caps? And where's, and everybody was just
so safe to say it was a disorganized, lackluster effort.
It was. It didn't look good.
Right.
And they're awesome company, awesome products.
Right.
And it was just like, whoa. Geez.
The energy and the plan didn't match the brand.
No.
So on the flip side, Healing Solutions.
I had Healing Solutions.
Talk to me about what they did. Because, by the way, let me back up for a second. Are they a brand new client?
Yes.
And so this is the first time that you built any kind of a space for them.
Yes. They had been referred by another person to us and came to us with about 5 weeks prior to the show.
Really?
And was, here's what we're doing.
5 weeks before
and
show.
We want to speed up the process and not wait till West. Let's get to East, and can you help us make it there?
That's
awesome.
Was
like, yes.
And of course you said you did, because that's what
yes.
you guys do. So
yes.
fast forward through the design meetings and the concepts, going back and forth, and them signing off. When you showed up at the event, now where was the event at exactly?
This one was in Baltimore.
Okay, so you show up in Baltimore.
Next one will be in Anaheim.
So the Baltimore show, how big was the booth?
It was only a 10 by 20.
Okay, so, that's sizable.
No, it was great.
Tell me about the booth.
In 10 by 20, they had a space that was up against the wall. We had another client at that exact same show who a couple years ago who was in a similar location, and we just asked to be able to go up 12 feet. Typically, you can only go up 8 feet, but if you can go 12 feet, you look a little bit more like an island. You're kind of poking up above the rest of the crowd.
See, that's smart.
We got a pre-approval for that. This client was like, when we got to the budgetary parts of things, you're paying for a top half of the booth you may never use again.
Sure.
You're not going to get those spaces or approvals everywhere.
Right.
And they were like, no, this is too important not to make a presence. So we use that whole real estate up above.
How did you? Well, this is not the get into, well, you can get in much detail as you want, but how did you use that up above space, if you will? And what did you custom design?
Let's talk
the
a
booth?
little bit about the booth.
Sure.
Yeah, right. So the booth had to have a statement. If you're at that show, Natural Products, it is what it sounds like. I had been at that show way in the early days when the big players, the whatever, the Nabiscos and everybody else that bought all these other natural products companies weren't even there. So the show's just taken off, but it has a very organic feel to it. No pun intended. A lot of earthiness, a lot of woods, a lot of natural stuff happening on the booth architectures. And so they wanted to fit in, but they also wanted to be a little different. So we started with a very natural design that was a little bit more modern. And with their collaboration, we turned it more into let's call it a Zen Asian garden booth.
Okay.
Didn't totally fit. This is what I like about this theme. It doesn't totally fit the window of what their website is or what they are, but yet it does fit them, and it does fit that show really well. So it has lattice work. We built a reception desk. It has a built-in fountain. It's got rocks on it. The water's flowing. We have a big giant pan channel logo. Here's a detail that was something that you see more of an outdoor exterior sign. It's what it is. And we brought it inside, did that whole giant 16-foot pan channel sign on the front of the booth. Wow. So it looks amazing. We did custom flooring treatment. It's really well thought out, the way the product comes across, where it hits because this is open to the general public too, right? So it's going to hit end users, and they're going to get samples, and they're going to get wowed by their products, and just the flow of how they set up the booth. They're having key meetings with buyers and with retail. They want shelf space in a lot of these places, so we had to. How do you show their shelf units, their end cap type units, and tabletop units in a sexy way, if you will, so it's not so pedestrian, because their stuff is kind of cool. It's little bottles of oils, but it's also, we needed to show the process, which was fascinating to me as someone who uses these products in our home, is how it's all produced. Where does the it's in the end, it's like a lavender, for example, is literally a piece of lavender it goes through okay. We had a station that kind of demonstrated the process of where the stuff comes from,
almost museum-ish.
How it hits the plant, how it gets produced into the product, and how you get a quality product, which is what they're pushing too.
My question to you is, clearly you have photos of this booth in action, correct? This exhibit, this space, because obviously we'll take that and we'll put it onto this podcast write-up, but when you talk about, you said something about it being a Zen Asian garden and it not quite matching the website. Well, to me, it shouldn't. I mean, these trade shows are campaigns. Every single commercial a company does, from like the Mad Men days, it doesn't necessarily have to match, what their annual report had, but it's a campaign. So a body of work is always going to fit. It's not going to be completely in left field, but I'm sure it relates a little bit, right? It's about the organic part of things, and I'm excited to see the photos, but so the client loved it.
Well, I'll say one thing too about what you're. The client, they did love it, and this would have been. Let's talk about the architecture and just the booth and how it was a win, and then I'll talk about the other part of it, which is the client and how they did some of their stuff well to win. But I made the joke while we were there that I wish we would have had like a Facebook Live thing going, that we had gotten compliment after compliment to the neighbor across the way, which was a big company I won't name, literally saying that I'm having booth envy. To we had 3 booth builders that actually stopped by. And when you get one of your booth builder competition to say, "Wow, nice job, guys," that really is.
That's it.
then
you know, right? Come on.
Yeah, usually you hold that in unless it's really kind of good, and then I'll even say like, "Good job, guys." You know?
It's got to be really good for you to say that, though.
Well, we had a bunch of that, so which made me feel good. And then I would talk about it in dinner with the client, and then when the client was on the floor with me for a day, he got a whole bunch of that too. So it was kind of like, see, I wasn't making stuff up. I mean, we got something here. And then on the other side of it, they did a lot of pre-planning, and then we're using this as a benchmark to build upon some stuff they want to do in West. But they had a plan. My point is that these people had a plan, and they're going to achieve their goals. They're just too solidly organized and rocking it the right way. I don't want to talk about all of their planning and stuff.
It's not right.
It's kind of more
but
of a
they're as
type thing. But that's a whole other part of it. If you build a booth and they spend some money, by the way, they came with a much larger budget. And I told them they had too much money.
Right.
We don't need all that. But they did. They amped it up a little bit, even more than what I thought they would.
Okay.
Needed to, because they wanted to do it right, and they wanted to be able to use this thing over the next 2 or 3 years, and then probably recycle to something else at that point. But amazing client, amazing show.
The show that's in Anaheim, are you going to be able to use the larger version of the show, of the booth, or you have to scale it down a little bit because you're not going to
it scales down.
Okay.
Currently, their location, that show is there's really no room in that hall. Right. However, the only wall that really does have places you can go up is not one of the most desired areas.
Okay.
It's kind of a secret little spot. If they could move, I'd tell them to.
All right.
I have another client over there that uses that wall still. So,
but when you show up in Anaheim, are you going to be able to replicate the Zen?
Yes,
Asian
it just won't have
feel?
the top half to it.
Okay, that's fine.
It all works either
and
way.
that booth is here. It's stored at Highway 85 Creative, right?
Uh-huh.
The exhibit?
Yep. So
and
we'll help manage it.
Can you just real quickly, because I'm intrigued by the concept of this. Did they come into the creative space headquarters of Highway 85 and have some ideas, or did you guys have a huge brainstorming session?
No, they did have some ideas. They saw what we did at Exhibitor Live. They had some stuff they saw online. One of the gentlemen has been in the trade show side of things in a retail space with another company. So, he had some experience. They spent more time just really just unveiling what they're trying to do. All their PowerPoints, for lack of a better word, and plans, and where they are now, where they're going, where their projections are, how they're trying to accomplish this, and where the trade shows fit in, and how it needed to work, and how it needed to be successful, and how it needed to be successful. That was their main focus. We took some of the thoughts they had, gelled it all together. I give them credit for the pushing for the Zen part.
Right.
If anything, we pushed a little bit back on the Zen. A little bit so they kept pushing back towards us on the Zen. So I prefer to have a back and forth than a one-sided, one just dictating one just because you get great things come from collaborating.
Well,
it all happens in different ways.
Of course,
I think it's the ideal thing.
Of course, no, I couldn't agree more. And then in the end of the day, if you're preaching to somebody, they don't have any buy-in. If they feel like they're part of the whole creative process, and they're a stakeholder, and so everybody's more jazzed about the actual show. Mm-hmm. So But
when they're wrong,
it's got to be them. It's not you at all. The end client.
They're wrong.
But they're excited, right? So this is a new client, and they're very happy with Highway 85 Creative so far.
Thank you for listening to Creative Spaces Podcast. For more information about Highway 85 Creative, visit us at highway85creative.com.